very vocal, taking that leading role. Sometimes, well, it doesn't end extremely well. You know, the famous saying, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So I'm just watching, you know, observing, taking it all in. But I'm not going to get into the, oh gosh, Louis, you know, because I know there's a chorus line, very strong chorus line as to people suggesting, hey, stop with the noise already. Listen, this is just the natural order, the cultural shift that, well, it's not a cultural shift. It's part of the culture when there's a shift on a particular momentum and a change of government. Now, as we know, culture is one of the hardest things to change. I mean, we're talking here revolution, where people might get into a particular role and function and act totally different. But let's be fair, I've seen this before. We have seen this particular act, this first act, as it were, when there's a new administration. I mean, it goes on to, and again, this is Minister Barry Padarat, went on to talk about some of the spending. He questioned some of the spending that took place via a renovation for the ministry that he now, well, actually the ministry that Mr. Ember. So a matter of fact, without just hearing my particular development and what the Guardian would have suggested, now obviously you're going to get the Guardian today and you're going to read the story on page 5. But in the Parliament, there was a back and forth between Minister Padarat and opposition Minister of Parliament, Member of Parliament, a matter of fact, Mr. Ember, former minister. Let's take you to the news, just give you a little flavor. We go back to that particular story so that you could get a deeper understanding. And later when we open up, let's talk about it some more. Let's take in some of the action, the bacchanal, as they say, from the Parliament.
Blatant untruth. 2 words with one targeted message directed to Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarat from opposition MP Com Imbert. Imbert's declaration, a direct response to allegations that over $1 million was spent to renovate an office for him at 1 Alexandra Place.
The member only telling us half the story by giving us advice to say don't engage any reckless, wild, crazy expenditure, but committed this government to $1.3 million for his frivolity, his excess, Mr. Speaker, his arrogance, and his abuse.
During a parliamentary session on Monday, Padarat quoted from a ministry document citing that he inherited a hefty renovation bill from his predecessor, alleging that the design fee, a workstation and customized coffee station amounted to in excess of $100,000, and the climbing costs continued.
The former Prime Minister was a connoisseur of paintings and art. The member for Diego Martin Northeast apparently has the same sort of fetish. Mr. Speaker, for the Minister's office, the painting there costed the country, I just want to make sure I'm getting it correct, Mr. Speaker. Yes, here it goes, Mr. Speaker. The painting, Mr. Speaker, costed the country $30,000.
Padarat further condemned Imbert and the previous PNM administration for what he said was a mismanagement of taxpayers' dollars. In his response, Imbert insisted that the works were completed at a significantly less cost than what Padarat referenced.
The cost was $160,000. The minister is a stranger to the truth.
We have no fault in this debate. This was not raised in this debate.
CNC3 News attempted to obtain documents and records to substantiate the claims. However, there was no response to requests for information. Jesse Ramley with CNC3 News.
Frivolity. The dictionary says lack of seriousness, lightheartedness. You know, you're hearing, of course, you know, the usual exchange, the back and forth between members of Parliament. And let me tell you, it's now heating up. This is, again, the first act. I think things will obviously get even more severe in the months and probably years ahead. And under that particular cloak and looking at that possibility, I'm watching The Guardian here this morning, and I'm seeing where the Speaker, this is on page 7, the Speaker wants parliamentarians to establish a code of conduct Well, I want to wish the House Speaker Singh the very best in that regard, because obviously we're looking at people who, and it's just based on the tone, and this is on both sides, huh? There seems to be, and lots of it is also theater, because there are many who would quarrel upstairs, and downstairs they'll knock out glass and they'll be all chummy and rubbing shoulders. But I'm thinking there are certain personalities there right now where that is not even possible. And all I'm looking at is for people to really get down eventually to the business of Trinidad and Tobago, to collaborate, to try to work hand in hand, because ultimately, why put yourself in a position of governance? I'm thinking it must be some kind of personal drive to see or to leave the place better than you met it, to really and truly leave the country, leave the condition of a community in a much better state as to when you first arrived. If it's not that, well, it must be just for personal. And if it's that, well, people are figured out pretty early, and that is where the country themselves, they via their vote, they make their particular position heard loud and clear. So that is something that I want parliamentarians, those who are sitting in the driver's seat and those who are on the outside looking to get back into the fold, to understand. People are looking on, especially the children too, looking on. And obviously, as said, part of the first chapter, I expect this back and forth to take place for the next couple of weeks, probably even months. I'm watching some other developments here. Let's head back to the front page. Some major adjustments at the Piarco International Airport. It says here, Airport Patrol. I'm seeing the new commissioner with the Homeland Security Minister yesterday doing their rounds at the Piarco International Airport. Now, you know, the airport is a place where, you know, that's your first port of entry. Well, at least for those using the air bridge. There are other ports of entry too, obviously, down cruising, the port here in Port of Spain, Scarborough, the airport there in Tobago. But there were some incidents recently, and I'm thinking because of that, and I mean, kudos to the airport security. I mean, they've really held their own for a long time, but sometimes people slip through the cracks. And I guess this is really a plan to bolster and to assist the already established security detail that exists at the airport. So you're seeing the commissioner there. I must say the commissioner, clearly when it comes to dress code, the commissioner, the last couple, outings, I must say, he had a media brief there on Monday, and of course yesterday. The man, three-piece and waistcoat, you know. Yes, Commissioner. But nonetheless, all jokes aside, with this particular police presence to assist the airport security, I trust that anybody even thinking about misbehavior in the airport, well, they'll have something else coming to them very soon. I mean, the audacity. Remember somebody run up and try to, well, I can say try to rub one of the food establishments in the airport, all right? A man got shot coming out of the airport a couple of weeks ago also. This is something that cannot be tolerated, and clearly you're seeing a proactive plan here to remedy that situation, and kudos to the TTPS. And again, hats off that at least the airport security, who I'm very cordial with. You know, I've seen firsthand with the airport security. You see, that's the thing, yeah? You'll do good all the time, and the one time you drop the ball, or the couple of times where the ball is dropped, people will, you know, they'll question your presence. But we have to say, you know, the airport security, they have been on top of the ball for a long time. But again, it's just a assistance really to ensure that there's that layer of protection at the Piarco International Airport. Other developments here, I'm seeing DCP Martin still on duty despite probe. And speaking about DCP Martin, well, another Martin, this time Martin George, he will join me this morning to discuss this development. Still on duty, investigation going on, they're going to do their due diligence. And this was the same DCP Martin who was at the center of the last major investigation with, well, at the time, the top brass, the head honcho, the former commissioner earlier. So let's see how things pan out with this development. And as I said, Martin George will give me some details later on. Let's head to the back page and see what's happening via sport this morning. Well, Aussie Test, that's right. This is, from what I'm hearing via the records, our 30th meeting with Australia. They would have won, I think they said about 18. We had about 8. Trust me, Australia, they clearly, when it comes to the head-to-head, they're in the lead. And obviously, we're looking forward to that particular series. I think Kensington Oval is where the action is going down. And we're watching here some action from, well, a game there in Leeds, our first cricket match, England against India. And that series happening overseas. Of course, well, we, as mentioned, focus on what's happening with the West Indies Test team. So there's cricket in the region. And there was a big awards too over the weekend, last Sunday there in Barbados. So kudos to all the winners. And I think they brought together the winning World Cup team 50 years ago. We would have lifted that particular trophy. So the likes of Sir Viv Richards and all the greats, the Clive Lloyds and all these folks, they were there to receive their honors. And we were celebrating all the young cricketers too, those who would have done well in the last calendar year. So cricket is in the air, football is in the air, but the basketball is already done and dusted. So for the lovers of sport, there is lots to embrace. Jamaica lost out yesterday with their quarterfinal advancement moving on via the Gold Cup. They lost 4-1 against Panama last evening. So also Jamaica, just like Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean heavyweights, we are back home, and I guess now it's preparation time for September because we are going to meet up at some point. Definitely they're in the group with us, and it's going to be very serious days ahead as we train and prepare our minds and bodies and strategy for the much anticipated and very important World Cup qualifiers come September. I'm hoping by then all could be behind the red, white, and black, and hopefully Dwight York and Russell Atapi and the boys could really get that cohesion and get that particular strategy and energy and template for success. Because again, this is really a fantastic opportunity for us to appear on the big stage yet again. Last time, 2006, let's make it happen in 2026 in USA, Canada, and Mexico. We are to the brief. And what's the brief talking about this morning? Well, happy to announce that the minister, the agriculture minister, Minister Ratiram, he's given that pledge, funding to support the TTSPCA, a very important agency. They kind of go with no funding. They go just on donors and people who will give of their resources. And the work they do in terms of these stray animals, stray dogs, cats, it's second to none. And to get this kind of commitment from the minister and to see that they went to visit the facility, this is a great look. And I trust that, because we had people here from the TTSPCA on the program, and I mean, they're doing you old man service. All right, so kudos to them. And also some children for the City Day. All smiles, the Tabakit RC students with some of the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. And this was for the City Day parade on Monday, 111 years Port of Spain as a city. And as I mentioned yesterday, the mayor, His Worship Allen, mentioned that there is work happening at South Key on this assessment center for the socially displaced. So hopefully with the completion of that center, I trust and hope that in the months ahead, we could see less of the homeless people lying all out by the bank on the pavement. Up to this morning, a man is, well, there's certain words we are guided by, we can't see on air anymore, but the man is washing his you can imagine what, in the drain this morning, and that's the imagery. Myself, Nakisha, Angelo, Sheldon, Leslie, all of us, we have to sometimes witness that. And sometimes we even eat no breakfast yet. You could eat a breakfast after you see that, folks? Could you? No, you feel away. So, Mayor, again, we look forward to seeing you on the program, and if you could give us more details as to probably some kind of a completion date for that assessment center. Great work. It's much needed in the city. And I give thanks that at least that ball is rolling. As mentioned, Martin George, a former member of the Police Service Commission. He's here to touch base and tell us about this particular development with DCP Suzette Martin, who is under probe, and also just give a perspective on the newly appointed top cop, Alistair Guevara, the best dressed top cop at this point in time. We take that pause. We come back.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh-cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488, 701-6680, 728-6786, or visit our website to order. Gaming Express Limited is a premium importer and retailer of the highest quality brand name electronics. We stock the widest range of PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Samsung, and Apple devices and accessories. Visit us at Shop 52, Level 2, Gulf City Mall in San Fernando, or contact us by phone or WhatsApp message at 687-7480 or 301-9797 or 798-1280. Like our Facebook and Instagram pages for updates on products and services.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Downy Unstoppables are laundry scent boosters. Add a capful before each wash and you'll be amazed. The blast of freshness that lasts and lasts. Whoa, what a blast! Even at the end of the day, you'll still be enjoying that blast of freshness in your clothes. Downy Unstoppables, the blast of freshness that lasts and lasts.
Get a loan at Bremont. The process is simple. Fast and efficient approvals. Receive funds within 24 hours once approved. And no penalty for early repayment. Located at 4 Gallen Street, Woodbrook. Remember, we like to lend.
Konnichiwa. Watashi wa the mighty K. So I just want to sing a little example for you. What me and mommy make up. So start the music, DJ. I did take my supplements, yes I do. Oh my God, I'm really working for you. This helps my body feel just right so I can focus day and night. Their dreams need a healthy start. So I'm taking care of my body in every part. Hey.
Have you heard? The hilarious adult comedy Married and Mischievous is coming to an end. No. Where are the last shows? I'll tell you. Port of Spain. Final 2 shows at Queen's Hall on Friday, July 4th and Saturday, July 5th at 8:30 p.m. And our absolutely last show is on Sunday, July 6th in Sapa, San Fernando. Tickets available in all usual outlets in North and South. Don't miss the comedy that everybody is raving about. Check RSR Productions Theatre on social media. And remember, strictly adults only. It's a bacchanal.
A former member of the Police Service Commission, Martin George, joins me. He's on the Zoom line this morning for us to unpack and get through the layers of this rather interesting development, never a dull moment, and clearly the TTPS under the microscope for the last couple of months. Obviously, we had a chance to discuss the development with former Commissioner earlier here with Christopher. Eventually, that was thrown out, and now we find ourselves discussing another top brass officer, this time around Deputy Commissioner of Police. We're talking here Suzette Martin, DCP. Martin George, when you heard this particular development, and firstly, as always, good morning. Thank you for the time. But when this
good morning to you, and good morning Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning to you, Martin. When this particular story showed up, you're going through your timeline, and something will come up on the timeline. What was your initial thoughts and reaction? Your honest initial thoughts and reaction when you heard of this development? Were you surprised, or was it something that you kind of anticipated?
Well, the thing is, you see, I had read the judgment of the Honorable Justice Devendra Rampasad when he delivered his judgment in the Brent Thomas matter. And in that judgment, the judge was very clear in, what he had to say about, the actions of the officers, including DCP Martin, and I mean, he was very scathing in his comments, and he actually said he was surprised that they were still on duty, both herself and ASP Birch, because ASP Birch was the other officer who was involved in the entire procedure. So Justice Rampersad, he expressed his alarm and concern and his consternation, so to speak, to know that these officers were still on duty. And he said that, this is something that, leaves a blot. He was actually so strong in his language that he said it was a blot on the nation that these officers, conducted themselves in such a way, because he also indicated that there was actually a breach of the extradition laws, breach of the Constitution. I mean, I'll just give you the exact words. Justice Rampersad at page 225 of his judgment said that ASP Birch and those who were involved on the day, SS Martin and Corporal Joe Field, have not faced sanctions for their clearly and admittedly unlawful acts as police officers, as far as this court has been informed, and that they have been able to continue in their offices without investigation, is, to my mind, a shameful blot on this country. I mean, those are extremely strong words coming from a High Court judge.
Indeed. So the perceived wrongdoing, again, obviously, they will do their due diligence. I don't want to prejudice the case. But in essence, in a nutshell, the TTPS, their particular authority, it's within the jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago. Once it's once it's international waters, that's a whole different diplomacy and ball game.
That is obvious to anybody. You are the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You are not an adjunct of the Barbados police service, or, to say that you have jurisdiction extraterritorially. Your jurisdiction ends, at the territorial boundaries of Trinidad and Tobago, and you must know that. So therefore, if someone is in another country and you wish to get them back, then we have the Extradition Act in Chapter 1204 of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. That is what you use to try and secure the return of somebody.
Let me ask, you were from a member of the Police Service Commission, and I saw the new commissioner at the airport yesterday, and he said it also on Monday. He said that the Police Service Commission, that's the only agency with the authority to suspend an officer. Walk me through the guidelines as it pertains to the suspension, because clearly, I mean, I'm thinking he's the commissioner, he holds office, powerful office. So you mean to tell me the commissioner, if there's wrongdoing, he cannot just write a suspension letter and tell a person stay home while this investigation is being conducted? Because it's rather bizarre that there's an investigation, active investigation, and DCP Martin is still on the job.
Right. So the thing is, in terms of internal disciplinary procedures, yes, the commissioner does have power over internal disciplinary procedures within the TTPS. I think in this case, what he's probably doing is just acting with caution so as not to, appear to be overreaching. I think he wants to wait and see first what the Police Service Commission is going to do, because if you recall, in the instance with the commissioner, the former commissioner, Earl Christopher Harewood, the PSC, they stepped in and they felt that, look, based upon the circumstances, they sent her on leave by asking her to not report for her duties, until that investigation was concluded. So in a similar vein, I think he has tossed the ball to the PSC to say, well, hey, listen, it's up to you all. And he actually indicated, I saw in his interview, that he had sent the information to them. So I think he's basically awaiting their decision and doesn't want to appear to be overstepping his bounds by taking an action, which the PSC is fully entitled to be able to take on their own volition. So I think that that's just a role of caution that he's taken. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because at the end of the day, in the very same way that the actually sent a commissioner on leave to say, well, look, please don't report for duty, then they can, if they look at it and if they feel sufficiently motivated to do so, they can also ask DCP Martin, in similar vein, to not report for her duties. And the thing is, the public is going to be looking on this, because they will wonder, well, is there one set of rules for one person and another set of rules for another? So I think the PSC is definitely in the spotlight at this point, and we wait with bated breath to see what they do. However, Jason, let me tell you, they cannot shirk from this responsibility, because I think I may have mentioned before on this program, and I mean, I will repeat it again, the Privy Council has already ruled on this type of scenario, where in the case of the Jamaicans for Justice, right, versus the Jamaican Police Service Commission, the Privy Council made it clear that a statutory body such as the Police Service Commission in Jamaica, and of course that ruling is binding on us here in Trinidad and Tobago, that they have a duty to investigate any serious allegation against any of the senior officers under their remit and control. So even separate and apart from whatever investigation the commissioner has initiated, the Police Service Commission has a duty to do their own investigation, even though they may rely on, I guess, a lot of the material that the police service may unearth. But they have a duty to come to their own conclusion in terms of the officers under their remit and make their decisions. So they cannot shield from this.
Martin George, in the minute that remains really fast, I want to see if I could get two more questions in.
Sure.
What does this second probe with, again, a top brass member of the TTPS do to its image? Because you spoke about the public, and the TTPS mandate is to protect and serve with pride the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This particular case with DCP Martin, what does it do to its image, the image of the TTPS?
Well, I will say to the credit of the newly appointed commissioner, and the way he conducted the press conference and the signals that he sent, it appears to be a good sign that, look, he appears to want to say, hey, we are not hiding or covering up things. We are willing to investigate our own. So in other words, the normal blue wall of silence that, pervades where, police officers back up one another, they cover for one another, they hide things for one another, that's my batch, that's my partner, I can't go against him. He's basically saying, no, this is a different dispensation. I am saying that, look, I am willing to clean house, and I'm willing to shine a spotlight on wrongdoing wherever it may be found, even within the bowels and belly of the police service. So I think that's a good sign. So that in itself can help to restore public confidence if this probe is conducted in a thoroughly transparent, efficient, and effective manner, and you let the chips fall where they may. And in that regard, I will still say, and I will caution members of the public, notwithstanding the allegations and whatever it is being investigated, we still have to recognize the fact that DCP Martin is still entitled to due process. She's still entitled to the presumption of innocence. And once the investigation continues, then of course a decision will be made based upon what evidence comes out.
Martin George, as always, a sincere thanks. I look forward to a discussion with you soon as we unpack any of the developments. All the best, Martin.
Thanks a lot. Have a great morning.
Same to you. Let's take the pause. We come back and continue with our discussions. Up next, understanding parliamentary proceedings. The former Senate President joins me, Timothy Hamill-Smith, to unpack this very important topic.
Feeling drained? Struggling to keep up? It's time to take control of your wellness. On this episode of Wellness Unlocked, we're diving into the key nutrients your body needs for all-day energy and balance, with 100% or more of your daily essential vitamins, plus added chromium to support healthy blood sugar. This is complete wellness in a single soft gel. Join us as we uncover how small changes can make a big impact on your health. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on CNC3. and take the first step toward better health.
Discover a breakthrough in healthcare at Liberty Medical Center, where expert care is affordable. See top specialists in endocrinology, diabetes care, dermatology, psychiatry, psychology, urology, obstetrics, and gynecology. We offer ultrasounds, x-rays, and ECGs. With full diagnostic services, an in-house pharmacy, and compassionate care, you'll leave feeling better than you came in. Visit us at 154 Pointe-a-Pierre Road, San Fernando, or call 610-4562. Liberty Medical Center. Your health, our mission.
Cold or flu? Take Panadol multi-symptoms. Relief in minutes. 7 cold and flu symptoms. Panadol. Release starts here.
This is not a procedure. It's just a hard-working cream.
Revitalift Triple Power with pro-retinol, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C visibly reduces wrinkles, firms, and brightens skin in 1 week.
Ladies, it's time to ask for more.
Revitalift Triple Power by L'Oreal Paris.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. That should big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop, Sumitomo, and Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Plaisance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958.
Former Senate President Timothy Hamel-Smith joins me on the Zoom line this morning to get into a very important discussion. It's one of the relevant talking points at this particular juncture, and we're trying to understand parliamentary proceedings. I'm seeing actually, Mr. Hamel-Smith, that on page 7 of today's Guardian, the Speaker wants parliamentarians to establish a code of conduct. I honestly thought there was already an established code of conduct. Just walk me through generally your experience when you were Senate President, and more so, how could we find that sweet spot, that balance, being strong, but not being disrespectful?
All right. So yes, you have standing orders which lay down a broad framework of how members should behave in parliamentary proceedings. I haven't seen the article you referred to, but I myself in the Senate, from time to time, without personalizing the matter, I would have a broad statement to all members that we would like to retain the decorum that is perhaps best serves the parliamentary interest and the interest of the public. So yes, it's not unusual to find that the Speaker would, in fact, make a common remark to all speakers about the conduct. I don't know if he identified anybody specifically. I certainly wouldn't have in his circumstances, unless there was a specific matter that he felt he should intervene in the middle of the proceeding. But I think it's a good move to lay down some sort of framework of the kind of behaviors, attitudes, and presentation.
Yeah. Let me ask, how does one maintain that balance? Because, obviously there are always, calls of bias, with any speaker. And I guess it's the speaker's job to really find that sweet spot, strike that balance, proceed with the utmost dignity, and I'm sure it's quite a balancing act. Walk me through that mindset, and how does one frame themselves within the space, trying to obviously be that referee between the two.
Well, there are sometimes, I can only speak to my own experience, where you get the sense that some members want to test the presiding officer as to whether he will, how far can you take him? And certainly, if in fact a member was going beyond the pale, of what you expect people to be passionate. That's what it is all about. You expect them to be passionate to make their points, in a way that dramatizes what they have to say. But there is a threshold, if you like, that you can cross. And sometimes, you got the impression in the early days in particular, if you don't lay down an acceptable mode versus an unacceptable mode of presentation, that people keep pushing the boundaries further and further. And so, I'm glad the Speaker has intervened at an early stage, because we're very early days, in order to set a tone of expectation from members of Parliament.
Yeah.
I do recall a couple instances where I felt, you had to come across fairly tough, as it were, because if a member is getting out of hand, if you allow that to slip, everybody else builds on that and takes advantage of it. And soon enough, you find that the House can slip into, where the decorum of the House would be diminished, as it were.
Yeah,
having said that, I mean, it's always been the experience that the House of Representatives, in comparison to the Senate was, I suppose, more sedate, if you like, in many ways.
But, interestingly, the Parliament there, it's been referred to many times as the highest court of the land. And I know there is a particular language that will exist in any courthouse. But for some reason, there are many, and this is not so much my perspective. You talk to people on the ground, and they find Parliament to be almost a place, they compare it to a classroom of unruly children at times, with the shouting and the kind of remarks and the utterances and the insults. And I guess there are those who just looking on so that those people who are in the position of influence could get down to the business of governance. What is deemed as going too far? At what point does one, did you ever have to send somebody out, tell them go outside and cool off?
I never had that I might intervene. I might say somebody was crossed the pale, as it were. There was a difference between the standing orders in the House and the Senate at the time. I think when I was there, certainly the new standing orders hadn't come into place, where you send somebody out and go and cool it for a while. That was not an option back then for me. But I can't think that there was any occasion where I would want to do that in my time. But as I say, the Senate tends to be somewhat more moderate. You do have to come down, if in fact somebody offends the decorum of the House, I think, and lay down, the rules early o'clock and in firm tones, so that you keep you keep control, if I may use that word, of the House proceedings.
Well, interestingly, we find ourselves in a new wave and a new style of politics. When let's look at the regional and global dynamic. Regionally, I've seen some heated exchanges in the St. Vincent experience in their parliament between the Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves and one of his opposition, opponents. Sometimes heated in Jamaica. We have seen some major clashes in parts of Asia, where it gets to the point of people jumping over the desk, looking to get physical. We saw President Trump yesterday using profanity to explain himself as it pertains to that particular war that's happening in the Middle East. So I wonder if we are living in a different time compared to the kind of established style and the decorum that would have been expected from those who hold high office. I mean, we are seeing literally in this modern 2025 a whole different style and type of politician coming into the space.
I haven't followed, at a close range a number of the parliamentary proceedings, but the one or two things that I did see, I thought, certainly in the Speaker, I haven't seen anything in the Senate, was prepared to intervene and indicate, look, the standing orders say X and you need to moderate this or that. I've seen that sort of intervention. I thought that he was, on those occasions where I saw interventions, and I'm not saying that I've listened for the entire proceedings, but he demonstrated, a sense of independence, which you would expect, because that's where you gain. If you demonstrate independence and fairness, you gain the respect of members. They understand you will intervene where people have crossed a certain boundary of what you consider acceptable. And as I say, the House tends to be more rowdy, if you like. There perhaps even more crosstalk than perhaps it might happen in the Senate. There comes a point when the crosstalk becomes where it impairs, if you like, the actual proceedings, and you have to bring it back to order. Things can get heated. You're talking about two opposing sides who are vying for the political, in the political sphere for influence, and that tends to bring out passionate speeches by members. I haven't noticed that the crosstalk was getting to a point where it was detracting from the proceedings. But as I say, I haven't listened for long periods. I have seen one or two speeches.
Let me ask you.
From time to time.
Let me ask you, Mr. Hamilton, as we wrap things up. For any person entering the arena, not so much the established ones, because they should know better, and they already have their style. And it's hard for them. That branch already, Ben, as they say, right? But for someone new, the youngsters looking on, for someone stepping into Parliament for the first time, if they were to come to you for a word of advice, what would be your particular advice to them? What's your encouragement to those stepping into the space for the first time?
So one of the things you have to consider is at the end of the day, the intent of any member is to have an impact on the debate. You want to get across your point. You want to make it succinct, but persuade people of your point of view. You also have your mind, if you like, on the public. You want to persuade people that the position you've adopted is the correct position. And so you can take two sort of approaches to these things. Some people will speak better than others and can have control of language, where at the point, they can make less impassioned appeals, but yet persuasive. And at the end of the day, persuasion is the point. You need to get across, by way of persuasion, that a particular issue should be seen as supporting a position you adopt on a bill, on a debate, on a matter before. And you get a variety of approaches. Some people, perhaps their tone would be more strident. Some people may be quiet and calm, and yet, perhaps more persuasive. Personalities differ. We said you don't want to put everybody in one mold and say this is the way you should be. Their natural personality will emerge. At the end of the day, the speaker has the constitutional right to guide, intervene, and try to make the proceedings as positive as possible, with positive outcomes. And that's what you want to achieve at the end of the day. There are serious matters to be brought before the Parliament. What Parliament does has an impact on the daily life of everyone. And the way in which people will accept what you're saying as perhaps the appropriate measure that you have to take. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago is facing difficult times, let's put it that way. So at the very start you will find that there's members will seek to blame the other party for what has transpired in the past years, as it were. That's not uncommon. But at some point in time, you have to go beyond blame and say, we are the party in charge. We will set the tone. We will have introduced into Parliament measures which are for the good of the country ultimately. And you have to be persuasive, not just to capture the mind of your followers. You want to capture a bigger marketplace, because isn't that what politics is about? I want to grow my space in the country and not just be sectarian or partisan.
Yeah.
I want to grow that. But also, there are cases when difficult measures have to be taken. And I need, as a member, to persuade people this is the right thing to do, as difficult as it may be. And that if, in fact, we go down this path, we feel that we will emerge better. Sometimes you have to take medicine. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to take medicine, especially if it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
On the other hand, a good member will have an appeal that crosses the threshold of partisanship, because you need a critical mass of people when hard times come. That critical mass of people say, yes, I understand that we are facing difficult times. I understand that we have to take difficult measures, but I must be able to persuade them that we will emerge at the end of the day a better people. And if you lose them early in the day because you're too strident or whatever, how do you recapture them later on?
Yes, it's true.
So yes, a member just have to look at the long term, not just the short term, not just scoring points today, but losing following. And, that's the name of the game.
Indeed, and great advice.
You want to
win
win hearts and minds.
Yeah.
And you want to win more hearts and minds, not just your present followers, because you have a country to govern.
Thank you so much for the great...
a country, you need that critical mass of people saying, yes, these people know what they're doing. I feel confident in them that we will emerge at the end of this period better for having gone through what might be a difficult path.
Great advice, because obviously you would have seen it all during your tenure. And we thank you so much for the time this morning. Timothy Hamill-Smith, all the best. And let's stay in touch.
Thank you for having me, Jason. It was good to be on the Morning Brew.
Always a pleasure. That's right. And again, basically he's talking there to your style, to your presence, timing, right? Tenor, tone, how you present yourself, and trying to not just speak to your audience, but to bring everyone into the fold with your style and to be persuasive, so that obviously, as I said earlier, you could leave the place better than you meet it. To me, that is all. If everybody, we operate under that circumstance, oh, what a beautiful place we would be. You understand? So again, great discussion here inside the first hour. We'll take that pause. We come back around, I'll tell you, inside hour number 2, that's, of course, in a couple of minutes, Tobago Talks. And when Tobago Talk, we listen. We're dealing with the Tobago Media Budget Review. That's right, so stand by. Much, much more ahead. See you soon.
Manage inflammation with Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, powerful, natural anti-inflammatory supplement that has helped millions find relief from their pain, just like world-renowned cricketer Dwayne Bravo.
Don't wait until it's too late. Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL. Omega XL helps us to work hard, play hard. This is your champion, DJ Bravo, and I approve this message.
Live healthy, stay strong with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food store today.
Get the best in affordable eyewear. Frames with blue filter lenses and eye exam, $399. Single vision lenses with transitions on designer frames, $799. Progressive transitions with designer frames, $1,399. Happening only at Seaview Optical. Affordable eye care for everyone.
Science calls it AMPK, your body's built-in system for burning fat, balancing blood sugar, and fueling energy. Berberine Plus naturally supports AMPK, helping you feel better, live better, be better. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus, powerful results naturally.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Welcome to ABC Doors and Windows, G&T's #1 destination for the best quality and widest variety of doors and windows. Enhance your space with our premium wooden, steel panels, fiberglass, and steel security doors, complemented by our aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows. Shop for the best quality and service at ABC Doors and Windows. Visit our impressive showroom at 1 Chancatrace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to get started. Trust ABC for a better choice.
Have you ever experienced an unexpected power outage? The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management has some important and simple tips to help you and your loved ones be better prepared for a power outage in the event of a disaster. 1. Ensure that you have candles and extra torch lights as alternate sources of lighting. 2. Keep fully charged power banks to recharge your devices. 3. Use hand-cranked radios to receive updates from official sources. 4. If possible, keep a power generator or AC inverter that can be connected to a car battery to use as an alternate source of power. 5. Ensure your grab-and-go bags and home emergency kits are packed and ready. The ODPM wants you and your loved ones to be better prepared. For more information, visit www.odpm.gov.tt. A message from the ODPM.
Welcome back. Let's get into our health tip today. Compliments Omega XL.
The Daily Health Tip, brought to you by Omega XL, where health is wealth. For millions of people living with asthma, even something as simple as going for a jog can become a struggle. Exercise-induced bronchoconstriction, or EIB, affects up to 90% of asthma sufferers. It's a condition where physical activity causes the airways to narrow, making it hard to breathe and even harder to enjoy life. While medications are effective, they sometimes come with side effects, such as rapid heartbeat, shakiness, or tremors, especially with high doses. That's why more and more people are turning to natural options that complement traditional treatments. Omega XL is a powerful natural supplement rich in omega-3 fatty acids, the kind that reduce inflammation, support lung function, and help you breathe easier. Backed by science, Omega XL's unique formula helps to reduce airway inflammation, improve breathing after exercise, lower reliance on asthma medication, and decrease the substances that make breathing harder. The truth is, our modern diets are overloaded with omega-6 fats, which can fuel inflammation. Omega XL helps rebalance that, providing your body with omega-3s from the green-lipped mussel, a source shown to deliver results without the fishy aftertaste or digestive discomfort. One study found that pharmaceutical-grade omega-3 fatty acids significantly reduced airway hyperresponsiveness and the need for medication in athletes with EIB. That's the power of omega-3s, and that's the promise of Omega XL. You shouldn't have to choose between movement and comfort. With Omega XL, you don't have to. Fuel your lungs with nature's anti-inflammatory. Omega XL, available nationwide at your nearest pharmacy, because asthma shouldn't stop your movement. Always consult with a trained medical professional before taking any supplements. The Daily Health Tip, brought to you by Omega XL, where health is wealth.
Well, health is wealth. Omega XL, sincere thanks. Now, I'm sure yesterday you would have seen the development with U.S. President Trump, who would have expressed, well, real frustration with the Israel and Iran scenario. Now, the ceasefire he brokered appeared to grow more fragile. Trump was particularly hard on Israel, who he said, quote, dropped a load of bombs as soon as the ceasefire deal had been made. However, the president showed anger with both sides. At one point, using what we call port language, industrial language, the man cuss. Yes, profanities in his criticism of Israel and Iran. Let's take in that particular development.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
You know, when I saw that yesterday, I mean, granted, yes, he is frustrated, and well, what he's saying is not fiction. But I'm saying to myself, this man is held to a really different standard. You could imagine President Obama, President Biden, Bill Clinton, even George Bush using that kind of language. You know, we are, and I told Hamilsmith that same scenario. Well, I told him that just now. We are clearly in a different time. I cannot recall, and I don't know if you could recall, a sitting president talking to media using that kind of language to express himself on something that was extremely frustrating, not only to himself, but clearly the wider world, because everyone is looking on, and obviously so much of what's happening in that part of the world could be avoided. Israel, of course, doing a preemptive strike. I mean, what is that? You know, and basically fanning the flames of this war on this particular issue that's been around since probably 1979 and beyond, because that's when the Shah was, you know, the Shah had to leave and the Ayatollah made his triumphant return there to Iran. So it's a whole history, it's a whole, you know, decades of mistrust and animosity, and it's something very deep-rooted. Donald Trump in the middle of all of this as president. Obviously the US, they've always been allies, and they've, you know, given Israel that support, and clearly what we saw over the weekend could have been a real major escalation with the USA getting involved. And clearly Donald Trump is frustrated, but I was really I personally was surprised. Well, I can't be surprised again, honestly, with President Trump, but and we would have heard him use profanity before, you know, when he was in his TV show, you know, reality TV star days, and they had there was a roast with him, and obviously he had different recordings with him using that kind of language, but in our official capacity talking to media, I mean, you can imagine one of our leaders, our prime minister, or a prime minister in the region, you know, speaking in that manner. I don't know if we're in a different time, because clearly, you know, I didn't really see nobody raise any red flag. It's almost like it happened and it didn't happen at the same time. So by all means, we open the lines and a few touch base. Let me know what's on your mind. And again, clearly, the president there rather frustrated with Israel and Iran. The man using port language, yes, that's construction language. That's the kind of language men use when they're in a FET match. But that's the president of the United States talking to the media. Amazing stuff. You can't make this stuff up. We open the lines when we come back. See you soon.
Introducing Advances Energy Vitamins. Advances Energy Vitamins is designed to give you the extra push you need to power through your day. It's not just any multivitamin. Packed with more than 20 vitamins and minerals with added ginseng and reinforced prebiotics. A unique synergistic formula that you will find nowhere else. To help you experience more sustained energy, feel more alive and alert to keep you going strong all day long. See the difference now with Advances Energy Vitamins. Available at leading pharmacies and Pennywise nationwide.
Ready to turn heads and steal the spotlight? Then head to Rosari Bridal Couture, your all-in-one fashion destination for every celebration. From stunning bridal lehengas to simple everyday shawwas, sparkling jewelry, affordable kids wear, stylish Muslim clothing, and even puja essentials, we've got it all under one roof. Get free footwear with any bridal outfit and get free matching bangles with kids wear. Need the perfect fit? Our in-house tailor is here for you. We're open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just take the Southern Highway to Brentwood, Chaguanas and call 723-9099 for more info. Rosari Bridal Couture, where fashion meets celebration, all inclusive.
I'm looking for a magic for this disaster of a war.
You need a master plan.
A what?
Kaleidoscope Weathermaster Exterior Latex Emulsion. It stands up to our wicked sun and crazy way. It shields against fading, protects against mildew, and is crack resistant. This paint so tough that it is tried and tested against British standards and formulated with European raw material.
Kaleidoscope Weathermaster Exterior Latex Emulsion, the premium outdoor paint that protects and shields against fading. Available at hardware and Kaleidoscope color shops nationwide.
Crack the science of stronger hair. New Fructis with keratin, protein, or biotin in reloaded systems. Up to 72 hours frizz control, 48 hours definition, or 72 hours thicker looking hair. New Fructis by Garnier, naturally.
Welcome to Caribbean Beauty Convention 2025. This is the first Caribbean Beauty Convention hosted in Trinidad. Join us for 2 days of exclusive and expert insights into the beauty industry in skin, makeup, nails, and hair. Hosted at the Center of Excellence, Mukoya. Caribbean Beauty Convention, 29th and 30th of June 2025.
Get the best in affordable eyewear. Frames with blue filter lenses and eye exam, $399. Single vision lenses with transitions on designer frames, $799. Progressive transitions with designer frames, $1,399. Happening only at Seaview Optical. Affordable eye care for everyone.
Hey, welcome back. Let's give you a chance to weigh in on the leading talking points of the day. We head to the lines. I believe Faizabad is standing by. Faizo, morning.
Jason, morning, my brother. How things?
Hi, good Faizo. I listen, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, I want to personally congratulate the approach and the appointment of the Commissioner of Police.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fella have on the gloves and he ready to box.
Yeah, you know, first time, Faizo, we actually saw the handing over. It was a smooth process. You know, you could believe that first time in our history. It was really just a nice handing of the baton, I must say.
I'm seeing professionalism.
Yes, yes. And you saw the man dress, code?
Of course, the other thing, I thought the man was going to have a for best dress in Novappi. Don't you read me? Jason, I want to track back a little bit yesterday with respect to Mr. Anderson.
Mm.
You know why I respect his views, yes? We must not take away from that we want to get the best people for the job. We should not just patronize for patronizing's sake or being accommodative because we have a hotel and you can come in without paying. You understand what I'm saying, Jason?
I understand it, but remember, we're dealing with a game that's called politics. So remember, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yes,
Labour gave their unadulterated supporter. So it's only fair that Labour, they want a little Labour component on the boards. That's all you're asking for.
Listen, I never said that we shouldn't have it. Don't take me down that road. I am saying we want the best people.
Yeah.
Present me with the best crop so the country could benefit. They have two people. They have Mr. Elder and they have Ernesto Caesar, who are ministers. I mean, so let me take it in strides and I hope they get the best people. The other thing I want to touch on, it's time, I'm hearing a lot of these allegations in the parliament, and they're saying it within the walls of the parliament. I want some politicians to start to get locked up, Jason. That's the only way these fellas will keep their hand in their pocket and not in the cookie jar, you know.
Yeah.
We have to start to do that, my brother. We have to start to do that. And I want to touch on one point. I see them carry out a little piece of road repair in Superior Road there. It was done hurriedly for the Labour Day thing. And the work was poor. I'm calling on this government. When all you taking the taxpayers' money, all you do the job properly, I voted for you, I supported all you, and I want the best for the country. Do not waste the taxpayers' money.
Faizo, I thank you, man, because, you know, that's one thing with Faizo. He is, he's critical, but he's fair. And I'll give Faizo that. Thank you, Faizo. I didn't see the work, but we'll check it out. Let's head to Shogunas now. Shogunas.
Morning, Jason.
Oh, Shogunas, morning.
All right, Jason, I would like to touch on something from a couple of days ago, right? Public servants and all officers working under the umbrella of national security have to work 10 years, right, on active duty, 10 years after being in service before they can become pensionable, right? Now, Rowley knew that he was going to lose the election. But you know what he tell this boy, Stuart Young, don't worry yourself, boy, you go eat our food. Even though we lost, you go eat our food relevant to the pension. So put him there for a month. So now he was Prime Minister for 1 month, and all of a sudden, people have issue with the fact that, you know what, the present government has brought something to Parliament relevant to this whole thing, right? So now they are in favor now of further wasting taxpayers' money and monies that can go towards the development and the growth of the country. Now they are in favor of paying this man this money after working only 1 month. And prior to the month that he worked, he would have absented himself on numerous occasions because of family affiliations in connection with government contracts. Listen to what I'm saying. You feel people care about themselves in this country? Some people, they wouldn't call in to say, you know what, disability grant is only $2,000. Let me increase it by 1,000 to say give the people 3,000. Let us do more work on this and that and whatnot on the other. They call in to make the person or one of the people who would have had them in bondage for 10 years, make them richer. Like the second caller from Diego Martin two days ago. And also, right, and also one of your other callers would have called in and said that you think these people care about themselves? You see, the Bible really says that the wise shall live of the foolish, you know, right? The empire of the PNM will always live of stupid black people. Have a good day, Jason.
Well, all right then. Just a quick reminder, Shogunas, all of us black, huh? All of us, right? All of us. But I hear you, and you know, I mean, what the man said might be harsh. Some people might be triggered this morning, but it's a very valid argument. He put forward. Let's head to Santa Cruz. Morning, Santa Cruz.
Yeah, morning. I'm Jason. What I want to raise this morning is the whole question of all on a sudden the dead dragon deal come alive. Lazarus gas deal with Venezuela. And if you could recall, you see, sometimes we have short memory. Right during the election, we were hearing that the dragon deal dead. They want to have no dealings with Maduro. All of a sudden in the parliament, the Minister of Energy is saying the dragon deal is still alive. They're talking to people in Venezuela and people in Washington. Well, the only person you could talk to in Venezuela is Maduro to keep the Lazarus deal, changing it from dragon deal to the Lazarus gas deal with Venezuela. And the only person you could talk to in America is Donald Trump to keep it alive. You understand me? Because we beat it throughout the campaign. It's dead. We're not going to deal with Venezuela and Maduro, and they're cutting a wedge between Trinidad and Tobago and the U.S. But today you hear a man bold-faced standing up in Parliament and saying, the dragon deal not dead, so all of a sudden they found Lazarus. And he come back alive with the dragon deal, because you know why? They start to feel shame now because they recognizes that Stuart Young had did a brilliant job with regards to the question of the gas and oil, and is the only means of survival right now. Thank you, Jay. This is Mr. Santa Cruz signing off on the Lazarus gas deal from Venezuela.
All right, Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz changed up the whole name of the deal, the Lazarus gas deal. Thank you, Santa Cruz. I mean, yeah. What area we head to now? Let's head to Pleasantville this morning. Pleasantville, morning.
Morning, Jason.
Morning, Pleasantville.
Yeah, Jason. Listen, this is we have to brace ourselves. We have some interesting times ahead. We see what's taking place. This government here. It would appear that how they campaigned is how they intend to govern. Now, a lot of these allegations that they are now finding out or bringing to the front is not what they really campaigned about. And I'm getting the feeling where it's a lot of distraction for their inability to deliver on the promises and for people to really see the end of what they are doing right now. We know, Jason, that money has always been an issue, and I was one of those who felt that the last government, there was no reason for them to be the work spoke for themselves. The work that they did for those 2 terms spoke for itself. And I'm hearing where we are being led to believe that this country, like it only began 10 years ago. And the only thing that's being thrown out there on social media and other areas is that what they did in the last 10 years, nothing at all about what happened the 5 years preceding that. And what are we dealing with right now in this country? We still have matters in our court right now with matters dealing with since Pandey days. But right now, Jason, we are looking at a lot of allegations, a lot of appointments were made, and people are looking and they're paying close attention because this is a government that's been there, that they have a track record, let's face it. People are paying close attention to see whether they will deliver on their promises and whether they will revert to the old days of all these corrupt ways that they were put out of office for. Because the PNM never loses election based on corruption. Let us face it. Thank you.
Easy Pleasantville. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, you know, as I said this morning, Pleasantville, that's really sometimes the first chapter of any new government. They tend to do a serious critique on the last administration and show some of the misspending and the mishaps, and they bring it into the fold. And the first couple of months, you have to kind of weather that storm, and then they kind of get down to the business of governance. But I hear you loud and clear, Pleasantville, loud and clear. We take one more. Good morning. Final call this morning.
Hello, yes, good morning.
Welcome. Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from San Juan.
Sawa. Go right ahead, man. I'm listening.
Okay, is this Jason?
Yeah.
JW, good morning. How are you going, Jay?
Are you good to know?
Nice, man.
Yes, man.
I'm calling concerning what I'm viewing, what is presently, of course. Now, I want to speak about our former Prime Minister and Mr. Stuart Young.
Go right ahead.
They both left Trinidad, if the country will remember. Well, first, let me congratulate our Prime Minister, our present Prime Minister, and I wish her all the best during her tenure. Now, the thing is with so let's go back to our former Prime Minister, Mr. Stuart Young. They both left Trinidad to go up to London, and to go up to London, yes, to get to the owner of Point Lisas. And with this, they got...
Just listen on the phone. Don't try to listen to yourself on the TV. You're going to have a long delay. So go right ahead.
Yes, okay. Yes, so they both left Trinidad along with Miss... What's her name? Hold on.
Minister Trade, was it? Trying to figure out which particular trip, because they would have done... We lost him? Oh, Papa. Oh, I would have really loved him to finish up his point. Sorry about that, Samuel. Let's try again probably tomorrow or Friday now when we open up again, yeah? We take a pause. We come back at Tobago Talks. When Tobago Talk, we listen. We get a chance to unpack the mid-year budget review, and of course, no stranger to the program, Dr. Vanus James, economist. He joins me next for Tobago Talks. Stand by.
Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Get it all at Southern Food Basket. Fresh goods on every aisle with best prices. For the best mix and market, high quality, yes. It's affordable, spacious, and customer friendly. From the farm to the cart to your plate, Southern Food Basket, good food at great prices. Come on home, everybody, don't you wait. Southern Food Basket's the best marketplace for you. Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket.
Asafa Powell, the Jamaican sprinting icon who shattered the 100-meter world record and redefined the limits of human speed, reveals the relentless drive that fuels his journey.
Omega XL, this good for your giants them.
Try Omega XL, it works. Are you ready to innovate, create, and lead? Welcome to Innovation Nation 2025, where big ideas turn into real-world solutions. This is your time to shine. Join Innovation Nation 2025 and shape the future one idea at a time. Registration ends Wednesday, June 30th.
Leilani Estate, Maracas St. Joseph, and Villa Ananda, Tobago. Trusted for distinguished weddings and elite corporate events in breathtaking surroundings. Secure your private venue today. Call 334-4430 to book. Visit Tire Clinic Marketing, New Truck and OTR Tire Service Center at number 30 and 32 Montrose Main Road, Chaguanas. Call today at 665-8973 or 672-3419. Alignment services available. Tire Clinic Marketing, Truck and OTR Service Center. A tire for every need.
Did you know a business degree leads to diverse career opportunities and advancement? Start an internationally recognized business degree from the world-ranked University of Hertfordshire at CTS College. Classes are 1 day per week with mostly assignment-based assessments. Plus, with 3 intakes per year and flexible payment options, getting started is easy. Holders of an associate degree, advanced diploma or ABE Level 5 diploma can complete this program in only 12 months. Call CTS College today and find out how you can get $6,000 off.
When you look in the mirror, you see this old school cowboy.
Why did Sonny Hayes come back to F1?
You say he was old, he not that old.
I never should have pulled you into this.
3 laps. 3 laps is a lifetime.
F1 the movie.
This and every Wednesday, Tobago Talks, and when Tobago Talk, we listen. With us, economist Dr. Vanus James. He joins me on the Zoom line to do the post-mortem of the mid-year budget review. Of course, it was delivered on Monday in the Tobago House of Assembly. And I'm seeing coming out of that, Dr. James, the Minister of Finance giving some consideration to THA's $3.71 billion budget request. And again, we'll get a chance this morning to go through the numbers and to just go through what indeed can be done. Because after the recurrent expenditure, I'm seeing there might be a $1 billion put aside for development on the island, but I'm sure, well, you will let us know if that will suffice. Dr. James, thank you for the time. Great to see you. Let's get the ball rolling. Good morning. What was your reaction? Obviously, you would have listened to the mid-year budget review. How you rate the performance?
Well, I took my time beyond the antics of the presentation. I took my time and read the document properly. And I find in it a host of, let me call them, for want of a better word, concerns, both about the technical quality of the work and about the good sense, that I might put it that way, in the claims and the requests that are being put forward to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Mm-hmm. First, the 5.9% request should be examined by the society because it is based on the suggestion that the population of Tobago has now grown to near 80,000 persons.
Oh, so it's not 60,000 anymore, Dr. James?
Well, if you look at their figures, the population of Trinidad and Tobago on the basis of the intercensal data put out by the CSO is about 1.37 million people. 5.9% of that is 80,170 people. If you're saying that the 5.9% is the minimum share, meaning Tobago's share of the population, that's what is implied by the data. Now, that's very troubling in and of itself. What you really need is a proper direct count of the Tobago population. And on that basis, you arrive at the estimate of the share of the population. in Tobago to the national population. But that's technicality. Now, if it is true that the first thing the citizen must be concerned about is that if it is true that Tobago's population is 80,172, that has enormous implications for the measure of the performance of the Tobago economy over the Farley years. And the basis on which you are justifying the suggestion to the country that we ought to give Tobago these increased amounts of budgetary allocations because we're doing good with the money. That is what we have to scrutinize properly. I mean, we cannot encourage Tobago. I speak as a Tobagonian. You cannot encourage Tobago to just come to the country for budgetary requests as if it's an entitlement. The only entitlement basis is that we're going to use these funds on the current side to maintain what we're doing, and then we're going to justify the development funds by the way we use the money to help the country diversify and develop. That's the standard you have to hold Tobago to, just like the standard you have to hold Trinidad. Equal treatment for everybody. Now, when you look at the data on that basis, if it is true that it's 80,172 persons living in Tobago in 2024, that implies from the data put out by the proposals, it implies that the GDP per capita of Tobago in 2024 was US $3,115. Now, if that is true, that is 13.3% below the GDP per capita that Farley and his team inherited in 2021. So what you are having is that the Tobago economy is radically underperforming the national economy, which also declined in real terms over that same period. You will remember that the GDP per capita of Trinidad and Tobago, in real terms, declined under Rowley by 23%. If Farley's figures are true, then relative to 2015 to 2024, the GDP per capita of Tobago would have declined not by 23%, but somewhere near 36%. So Tobago is radically underperforming. And therefore, when you're budgeting for that, you have to make very clear, very clinical, what you're trying to do with these increased budgetary funds. So we're not just talking about election money and all that sort of stuff. We're trying to get the country out of the mess it is in. The whole country is in a mess, as you know, economically today. And the issue that comes from that is how do we move out of this mess that we are in? That's the fundamental question. Okay. Everybody has to.
Well, I know you're a numbers man, and I'm watching the THA Secretary of Finance, the Honorable Petal Roberts, would have mentioned $2.71 billion for the recurrent spending and $1 billion for development projects. Where will this billion, tell me, from a Tobago perspective, where needs urgent development at this point in time? Yes, we're hearing of the Sandals scenario that should be running. We're hearing of Marriott. I heard Chief Sec Farley yesterday in the news make mention there are some projects that might be coming to the island, but we're just talking here general development to ensure that Tobagonians are satisfied with the actual, daily runnings of the island. Walk me through it.
Well, let me remind you first of all that this business of $3.71 billion comes out of a $63.5 billion national budget that is forecasted. Now, where will that come from? How are you going to fund? Where will Kamala get $63.5 billion to spend in this climate, this kind of economy that we have? The only possibility is that there will be enormous amounts of borrowing. So the first consideration you have to raise is what share of that $3.71 billion Farley is asking for will be deficit financing, and therefore, how much of the $1 billion you are asking for will be deficit financed so that you are able to get started with your development program. So that's the first thing everybody had to think about. Given that background, You then ask, well, okay, in this crisis moment, if I give you 1.01 or whatever that figure is, $1 billion to development, what are we going to do with that to get the country started down the road of diversification? Tobago has an obligation to do that, just like Trinidad. It is not Trinidad must diversify and give money to Tobago. Tobago must do its fair share in the diversification and development of the national economy. Tourism as we know it, all across the Caribbean, meaning beach tourism, you bring people here to go to the beach, or you bring people for a one-shot carnival, a popular Trinidad carnival, and so on. Those things will not cause development in Tobago. The evidence is clear all across the Caribbean. That's not true. Jamaica is a flagship case in that sense. Their GDP per capita is 5.3 thousand US dollars. They have, 2.5 million tourists coming to Jamaica every year, but almost all of them to go to the beach. That is what the evidence is. It's not working anywhere in the Caribbean. The only place in the Caribbean where you're seeing development based on tourism is where you're also seeing other fundamental activities used to industrialize tourism. St. Kitts Nevis is a case in point, where they are now producing $21,000 US per person by exporting tertiary education on a large scale. Bahamas is a case in point, where you're seeing them exporting financial services on a large scale along with their beach tourism.
And I mean, Cayman Islands also would have adopted that model, and they have now added medical tourism to their business model.
Big time. Cayman and Bermuda are flagship cases exactly because they have already developed on the basis of this model. Financial services, which is, remember, legal services, medical services you're talking about is a separate thing now, but legal services, accounting services, portfolio design services, these are high value added services. And they now produce a GDP per capita near 90,000, which is somewhere near 20,000 above the US. And Bermuda is 115,000, which is 35,000 above the US. So what you're talking about here is understanding what development must mean for Tobago. Tobago cannot go down the old-fashioned road if it wants to help the country diversify and develop. And it must want to help. That's the obligation the country has to itself, and Tobago to itself and the country. So when I scrutinize this budget, I see a lot of stuff that worries me. I see the idea that you have 21 budgetary priorities built around this notion of tourism. But you can't have 21 budgetary priorities when you're doing a plan. It's not possible. Because when you're planning, you're accounting for the interdependencies of the economy. And you pick up one or two critical things that you're going to change that will cause the whole economy to develop. When you talk about 21 priorities, apart from the abuse of the English language that implies, what you're really saying to me is there are no interdependencies in the Tobago economy, and that can't make any sense. Because you're simultaneously saying that if you do tourism, it will encourage agriculture to develop and other things like those. Transport will be affected. So you're already acknowledging interdependencies. Well, how do you end up with 21 priorities in that context? When I do modeling of a Caribbean economy, like Trinidad today, I end up with four core variables, that if you shock them, they will cause the whole system to develop. And I can demonstrate that empirically anytime you have time on your show for Trinidad and Tobago, and I can tell you which four. Okay. My point is, all of that just says what you're doing in Tobago, that the country should take stock of and say to Tobago, we can't go on like this. What you're doing is entitlement economics, is what I like to call it. You're acting as though Tobago is a ward of Trinidad. And that's not the way we have to proceed if we want to develop Trinidad and Tobago, if we want to develop Tobago, and Tobago must carry its share of the national development responsibility. You have to treat Tobago as a place that is pursuing its self-determination properly, rationally, and the country needs to tell Tobago that. This is not about entitlement. This is about development Remember, Tobago is in this situation for 127 years. And in fact, 141 years since the collapse of our export economy. So this is something that Tobagonians have to take seriously. And what the THA is doing here is really not helpful to the discussion at all.
Yeah. Well, Dr. James, as always, sincere thanks. Let's probably, next time we talk, give you a chance to explain the four components. And we really do a deeper dive into the numbers and into the diversification trust. All the best.
Absolutely. Take care.
That's right, Tobago Talks. And when Tobago Talk, we listen, and I mean, people like Dr. Vanish James on the ground, they understand the numbers, they will do a deeper analysis of what we would see via some of the media budget reviews. And of course, well, when the national budget is in the fold, we'll get a chance to also unpack some of the numbers and figures. Let's take that pause. We come back as per usual, that very important discussion with TTIVF. Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain joins me next.
Eye care tips for Seaview Optical. Eat well. Good eye health starts with the food on your plate. Nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, lutein, zinc, and vitamin C and E might help ward off age-related vision problems. Quit smoking. Makes you more likely to get cataracts, damage to your optic nerve, and macular degeneration. If you have tried to kick the habit before only to start again, keep at it. Wear sunglasses. The right pair of shades will help protect your eyes from the sun's ultraviolet UV rays. Use safety eyewear. If you use hazardous or airborne materials on the job or at home, wear safety glasses or protective goggles.
Get the best in affordable eyewear. Frames with blue filter lenses and eye exam, $399. Single vision lenses with transitions on designer frames, $799. Progressive transitions with designer frames, $1,399. Happening only at Seaview Optical. Affordable eye care for everyone.
ChatGPT, I'm falling.
Failing grades? Contact Student Hub.
I ain't say failing, I say falling.
Then it's time to stop failing. Student Hub helps students succeed online. If school feels like a free fall, Student Hub helps you land on top.
When I am with my friends and those pains that knock me down arrive, I take Panadol Ultra because it relieves fast 5 types of tough pain and it does not irritate the stomach. That's why my choice is always Panadol Ultra to feel relief quickly and enjoy every second. Panadol, release starts here.
Embrace life with Guardian Life.
Every sunrise brings a new beginning, a quiet promise that we're never truly alone in life's journey.
So grateful for this precious life. Embrace it with a fearless stride. Dig so deep to turn your dreams to reality. With a bright future on the side. Through every journey you will find what you've earned and accomplished. You now deserve to be. Embrace life with Guardian Life. Only you can pave the road for your legacy. Embrace life with Guardian Life. Every step is one step closer to live easy.
Embrace life with Guardian Life. Life, health insurance, and pension solutions.
That's right, Medical Director of TTIVF, Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain, joins me again for another important discussion. You know, Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain, I must say, you know, we are normalizing and making the IVF conversation a very comfortable one. There are many I know over the years would have probably had the discussion, you know, in hushed tones, but it's modern times. And the tech is there, the medicine is there, and I think it's one where, via our discussion, via your intervention, the work you're doing, people asking me questions, I ask you. You know, so I'm saying, wow, you know, it's what we're doing here, it's really making a major impact, I must say.
It's making a huge impact. It's such a common problem, 1 in 6 people. Everywhere people are dealing with fertility issues, and IVF is being done so much more than people know. I get approached in the supermarket now. People will come up in the queue in the supermarket and say, hey, I saw you on TV, I have a question for you, and they're actually willing to openly talk about their problems, which is wonderful.
So let's go with a recap, basically how IVF works for those looking on this morning.
So IVF, we talk about all these different treatments, but IVF is the one that is the most effective at getting a baby when you have fertility struggles, and it basically gets the egg and the sperm together outside of the body. That process is supposed to happen inside the woman's body, and there's lots of different reasons that the egg and sperm cannot get together in the woman's body. And so that's IVF. You grow eggs in the woman's body, you get them out of the woman's body with a non-surgical technique, then you put them together in the lab, create embryos, and a few days later put that back inside the woman's womb. And that is an IVF cycle, and it's a fantastic treatment to help people get pregnant.
Age and the eggs itself, you know, I know you would have, you blew my mind a couple of months ago, because you always think of the age factor leaning towards the woman, but you have also established, and the medicine shows, and the science shows, that even we men, we are on a particular, you know, we are on a particular timing. Yes, there are men who would have children in the 60s, but they are an exception to the rule. I always thought that was like something normal. Walk me through it. Age, eggs, and also men as it pertains to age.
So if we look at fertility, women have this ticking time bomb. They don't have much time. So in your 20s, you have lots of eggs that could make a baby. Maybe 1 in every 2 eggs would make a baby in your early 20s. But by the time you hit 40, only 1 in 12 eggs is good. I'll say that again, 1 in 12 eggs. That means you get 1 good egg a year at 40, and it only lasts 12 hours. So the women have this ticking time bomb that means that their fertility really doesn't give them a lot of time in their lifespan. Men don't have a ticking time bomb, but they have a biological clock, and sperm do get worse over time. But then what we're seeing these days is so many more things that affect male fertility. Everything in the world, everything in the climate, the environment, the things we're not doing well in our lives, all of that is hitting male infertility, and it's just becoming more and more of a problem. So it's a variety of things, but women definitely, age is a reason to go to IVF more quickly if you're over 35, for sure.
Indeed. I've seen in a text and some correspondence that there's a correlation between IVF and a treatment as it pertains to cancer patients.
Yeah, so we talk about IVF as for fertility problems, medical infertility, but actually it's IVF is for fertility preservation, holding on to fertility if you're going to do something that may damage fertility. And that's often chemotherapy. So a young woman who's just been told, for example, she's got Hodgkin's lymphoma, she's 20, she'd like to have kids in the future, and she's looking at treatments like radiotherapy and chemotherapy that are definitely going to damage her eggs and maybe put her into an early menopause. She can freeze some eggs with us and hold on to them for the future. And then we get lots of guys from, you know, early teens right through to guys in their 40s or 50s who are dealing, usually the common one is testicular cancer, and they're going to usually lose 1 testicle and then have chemotherapy. Again, they're probably facing sperm damage in the future, and they want to freeze some sperm. Guys are coming through and they have prostate cancer because that can affect the ability to ejaculate sperm. Again, guys with lymphomas, Hodgkin's lymphoma, leukemias, all sorts of cancers, bowel cancer, they freeze sperm and they'll use it in 5 years when they're well to have a baby with their partner.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because, you know, it goes back to what you mentioned. Yes, that's if there's a medical emergency, but you also mentioned that with men and with age, the quality of the sperm might deteriorate. So I guess a younger man looking to probably go for more children in his later years, in his senior years, you can indeed preserve, put aside, you could, like as they say in the sperm bank, put something there and have it there for the future.
So that's an interesting question. Should men preserve sperm for social reasons, for age? We don't do that yet, but we do that for women with eggs.
Oh, okay. So you do it for women with the eggs.
So women do social egg banking because they may say, hey, I'm 32, haven't got a partner, don't want kids now, but I may very well want kids when I'm 42, 44, and I know it's going to be really difficult, near impossible at that point. So let me put a little insurance policy in the freezer right now with you guys, and that's social egg freezing, yes. Okay. And that's IVF again, to get the eggs out and freeze them in a freezer.
What are the signs, at least when you're looking at the IVF option, people come in, what are some of the signs that you'll know, okay, this is probably the road I want to go down?
So there are some people who really should be doing IVF quickly. And I think the biggest problem in TNT is people wait too long. They come after 4 or 5 years, and there are some people who should have been doing it straight away. And those are people with really low sperm counts, under 3 million, or women with damaged and very blocked tubes. Both of those things, you're going to need IVF, and it's really going to get you a much more higher chance of having a baby if you do it quickly. So those things are key, really. And then there's other people. If you've tried IUI treatments and you've not got pregnant, then you're looking at IVF, yes.
You know, I want to ask one that is, someone told me to ask, you know, when does a patient know, or how do you break the news to them that, you know what, IVF probably is not the best option?
That's very rare, but there are some couples where we've sat them down and said, listen, you're 48. It's a 1 in a million chance you're going to get IVF with your own eggs. It's really, you're going to be giving us a relatively large amount of money for something that's near impossible. And we have counseling, and really it's talking through with them. Do you really want to do this? Because, and then other people maybe, there are 1 or 2 women over the years who've had serious medical conditions, nearly died in a pregnancy before. They're not getting pregnant, and it's like the body is telling them, I don't think you should get pregnant. And so once or twice, maybe once every 10 years, I've sat a couple down and said, if we do IVF, I think you may die, and he may end up with a baby, and you may not be there to raise that baby, and you've already got a daughter. Is this what you really want? So there are times when we would be very honest and ethical with people. And then sometimes it's really nice to say to people, actually, you don't need IVF. You're worrying a lot, but actually change this, do this, and I think your fertility is going to be good. And I just was talking to somebody this morning. She rang to say, I'm pregnant, you were right. You know, and she'd had a short history, and IVF wasn't needed. And it's lovely. We tell a lot of people, actually, maybe you don't need IVF.
That's probably a joy to see all the families you would have impacted, and then to see the babies grow into you know, toddlers, and then toddlers into the early adolescence, and then, you know, because you've been here for some years, so I'm sure you would have seen many families and seen the kind of impact.
I'm having adults come up to me now and say, hey, my mom said I was an IVF baby. I had an 18-year-old guy the other day come up to me and go, I just wanted to say hello. I have a picture of you holding me. I was one of your embryos. Wow. And I'm just waiting. Soon, I will have somebody come to me and say, I was your IVF baby, and here is my baby that I had naturally. I'm getting old.
Well, you know, it's just part of the process, and the fact that you're bringing, you know, impacting real lives in real time. How do they keep in touch with you, Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain?
Yeah, so, and actually I would say to people, if you had IVF with us, on TikTok we're going to do a before, so a picture of you as a baby with your mom and a picture of you now with me. If you want, we'll recreate the same picture of me holding you and put them on TikTok. So we were joking about that the other day. There's lots of ways to get hold of us. We have a website, trinidadivf.com. Come and read all about what we do. There's a contact form there. We're on all the socials. If you search Trinidad Fertility, you can see what my amazing staff are doing in the lab right now. You get a peek inside the incubators. You can see what an embryo transfer looks like. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Just search Trinidad Fertility. And then the usual way, phone. We open at 7 a.m. this morning. Good morning, Ray-Jan and Rhonda. I'm thrilled that you're there answering the phones. 222-8341 and 622-8869. Really well-trained staff. They can answer all your questions.
Dr. Minto-Bain, we might all be getting old, but we never cool, huh? Never cool. That's right. The medical director of TTIVF, Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain, touching base with us. We'll take that pause. We come back and get you ready for a great activation that's happening very soon. This is going down at the St. Mary's College grounds. As a matter of fact, it's happening next month, but I want you to get yourself in a gear for the Brunswick Color Dash 5K 2025.
Quality food to fill your basket. Get it all at Southern Food Basket. Fresh goods on every aisle with best prices. For the best mix and market, high quality, yes. It's affordable, spacious, and customer friendly. From the farm to the car hot to your plate. Southern Food Basket, good food at great prices. Come on home, everybody, don't you wait. Southern Food Basket's the best marketplace for you. Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy, Stacey. You want some coffee?
Can I have the bill?
Perfect then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hey, the pool is this way.
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Built to Last has a massive sale on roofing materials, including standing seam. Invest in durable roofing sheets at unbeatable prices. Choose our supply and installation package and enjoy huge savings on your roof. Quality materials, quality prices, quality workmanship. Our name says it all. Built to Last, for roofing that is built to last. We will not be beaten on price. Enjoy free delivery and free roll forming on standing seam and guttering on site. Call us now, 355-7703.
Welcome back. Let's get into that great activation as mentioned. July 26th, all roads lead to St. Mary's Grounds for the Brunswick Color Dash 5K. And with me, the Senior Brand Manager there at AMCO, Roxanne Joseph, no stranger to the program. And Rox is here with the Color Dash t-shirt. I love it.
Yes, Jason.
Yeah, they got small. I think small should. That's a small?
No, this is an extra small.
No, well, I need probably a small.
Nah, you're a medium or a large, because I see you gain a little weight. Not in a bad way, but in a good way.
Let's get us medium. We guess medium. I mix between small.
I don't think we have that size, but...
because in my mind, I think that's small, but probably true. A medium might actually do it. Let me ask you, though, I remember this particular promotion is nothing new. This is something that's been around.
New. Second year.
Right.
Second year.
That's right. And based, I guess, on the feedback and the momentum from last year, you're coming big and better.
It's been an overwhelming success thus far. I mean, we would have launched off on May 15th, and Jason, the numbers are overwhelming to date.
Why is it called the Color Dash?
So it's called Color Dash because, as you know, within the Brunswick portfolio, we have different flavors, right? And every mile that you cross, you will be doused in brightly colored powder. So for every mile that you cross, you will be doused in brightly colored powder to represent the different flavors of the Brunswick product. And the term Color Dash was coined by our race management team, which is Caribbean Color Splash, and they would have came up with the term, and we just put together the powder and so forth with the different colors.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing St. Mary's Grounds the 26th of July.
26th race time is 4 p.m. How do you register? So simply purchase $50 of any Brunswick product, and you could go on the site, Brunswick Color Dash 5K, and you could register there. Jason, I feel you're going to register right now, I feel that.
Oh, you mean, listen, when it comes to 5Ks, it's something I always enjoy with my son.
Yeah.
I mean, we do it for fun, right? And it's just to finish. But I know there are people, when they hear 5K, they come in because
they come in hard.
They come in competitive because it's not only just training, but they're trying to get there. I think it's some kind of process runners go through where they have to accumulate a certain amount of points or something within the running world.
Right, yes.
Is there a component for that serious runner?
Yes, so we have, again, this event is geared towards the professional runners, the novice runners, the families, the walkers. So it's not just professionals that coming out. So we have novice runners, we have seasoned runners, we have walkers. So if you're a walker, that is also catered for you on July 26th.
Well, I run walker. I run and walk.
All of that, Jason.
Start off nice and then...
Correct. And it's a family type event, so we want persons to come up with the kids and so forth because, July, August is the summer period.
That's right.
Right, so we're coming out with your families and so forth. I have seen persons come with the baby in the stroller and so forth.
Yeah, must get that.
And you just take a nice lap and you just
It's a great bonding. For me, it's
Yes.
when I run with my son, every time we go to a 5K, and of course we'll come to this particular, this activation, it's a kind of story where you could establish to your child that, yes, they'll be frustrated, belly hurting, oh my gosh.
Right.
But what you start, you have to finish.
That is correct.
And you see a particular momentum when they get to the finish line, they get into a stride, and it's just a sense of accomplishment. And when you reach, you get a little medal or
Get a
prize.
nice medal. Correct.
What's up? What's the prizes like?
So we have over $20,000 in cash prizes for winners.
Oh, so that's for like the established, these
Right.
good one, the professionals.
Correct.
Good.
And then we have hampers, special giveaways. And again, we have medals for all. Medals for all. Once you cross that line, you get a medal, Jason.
Yeah.
You know, so come out on July 26th, St. Mary's College Grounds, 4 p.m. And how do you register, Jason, again?
Please, tell me.
BrunswickColor-5K.com.
And you have to buy a certain amount, right?
$50, and you could just go on the site. If it is for persons who don't have a card, you can go to any branch of Kenny's and you could purchase our codes, and you could just go on the site and register. Our promo codes.
I remember the last time you came with product, and let me tell you.
Yes, it was the sushi. Last time I was here.
And then
spicy Thai.
Oh my goodness, I love it, you know.
So you tried it after that?
Listen, all the time. That's what I do sometimes, actually, for dinner. If I don't want something too heavy, I'll do that spicy Thai.
Yeah.
With some crackers.
Really?
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's the one with the kind of red pepper.
That is correct. That's correct. That's the spicy Thai.
Moist?
It's moist.
Oh,
it's
God.
moist.
Yeah, nice.
And we have the sardine in it as well when I came here last time.
Yes. And
yes.
you know what I find interesting about it? Back in the day, I would add a little mayo. I would add
No, you
something.
don't need to. Those are ready to eat.
Ready to eat?
Ready to eat.
Yeah.
And as I said, those come in different flavors. So you have the lemon, you have the garlic, and you have the Thai chili. Yeah, those are really great flavors.
Well, it's popular in the trade because sometimes I'll go to, certain groceries and, there are always products there, but that particular flavor, like people go for that one first buy.
Yeah, and did you try it with the chip too as well? The Frito-Lay? Tostitos chips?
No, well, I did it on the program here, but I just more do
yeah.
crackers, so it's more kind of paired for the chips.
Correct,
Okay.
paired with the chips. And a nice cracker would be the Dare cracker. You can try that Breton cracker.
What?
Breton cracker, you could try
I'm
that.
sure you would have seen people who, even though it's ready to eat,
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen people who, people who are very creative and very adventurous with the palate.
Right.
And their style of cooking would have, I'm sure, what you've seen, but they take it and make it real interesting.
They've done casseroles.
Casseroles with it?
Casseroles, meatballs. There's a lot of versatility with it. And you can check out our socials at Brunswick Trinidad or at Brunswick TT, and we have a host of versatile recipes.
What about some of the health benefits?
Health benefits, omega-3 fatty acids, protein, vitamins, minerals. Good for the heart and good for the brain.
Fantastic.
All in one can.
All in one can.
Can't go wrong, and come out on July 26th, 4 p.m. sharp.
Now, Roxanne, I must say, you came that day with product, and from ever since.
Like you get sold.
I've always been a fan of the Brunswicker, to be quite honest. That's something you grew up with since you're small.
Correct,
but,
correct.
That particular flavor, that spicy Thai,
Yeah. That is one of our major ones.
Well, as we wrap things up, I'll give you a chance again to just tell TNT why they need to be there for the Brunswick Color Dash 5K.
Because we're coming out to have fun and fitness all on one day, July 26th, St. Mary's College Grounds, Brunswick Color Dash 5K. Call us at 296-6934 for further information, or go to our page, brunswickcolor-5k.com.
And only that's a Saturday, huh?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday.
Fantastic. Good weather we're expecting.
Yes.
Fun and vibes.
Can't wait. And of course, in Mary's Grounds, inside is where the activation taking place.
That is
People
correct.
just go through the,
Correct. And we start on Hayes Street, adjacent to Nelson Mandela Park. And we go around the Queen's Park, and we end at Hayes Street.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Roxanne, it was a pleasure to have you in the program.
Correct, Jason. We're looking forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Always a joy to have you on the show. Roxanne Joseph, Senior Brand Manager there at AMCO.
Thanks again, Jason.
Of course, you're most welcome. Smedium, huh? Smedium. We take the pause. We come back to wrap things up. See you soon.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Welcome to Caribbean Beauty Convention 2025. This is the first Caribbean Beauty Convention hosted in Trinidad. Join us for 2 days of exclusive and expert insights into the beauty industry in skin, makeup, nails, and hair. Hosted at the Center of Excellence, Macoya. Caribbean Beauty Convention, 29th and 30th of June 2025.
Low energy? Heart concerns? Migraines slowing you down? It's time to take control of your health. Join Wellness Unlocked, the series that brings expert advice and real solutions for a healthier you. In our latest episode, learn how Jameson CoQ10 can help support heart health, boost energy, and even reduce migraines. Get the science, the stories, and the steps to power up your health with CoQ10. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on CNC3 and start your wellness journey today.
Yeah. Hey, let's wrap things up. It's been, as always, a great one. It's literally time to go, so God spare. I'm back for more tomorrow. Have a great one, TNT, and be safe.
Morning Brew is brought to you by Omega XL. Live long, stay strong.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of CNC3.
I thought I was feeling fine and, I didn't really need to use it because I really was feeling a whole